this week on the Bubble Chat.
Want to believe it because of one thing he said at the end of the interview.
What?
Not only did he say that he had the chance to date her and he fumbled, but he said that her get back was the lap dance.
You can't deny something good. You can't deny talent. You can't remove and evoke the emotion when you see it and when you witness it on film, right, on the screen.
Makes me wonder if she's lashing out because she feels overshadowed, or if this is her way of leveling the playing field now that the relationship is ending.
The whole point of the red carpet was to showcase their outfit.
Opinions and experiences are like assholes, and everyone has one. Now, I'm going to use a example like the same, but not. So we all know who Kaku is, right? Okay, and then so we all know who Nicki Minaj is. And yes, I'm coming for you, T. I'm coming for you.
Hey y'all, welcome to the Bubble Chat. We're so glad you decided to hit play today. You know that feeling when you're so deep into a conversation with a friend that the rest of the room just kind of fades out? That's exactly the vibe we're going for here. No scripts, no stiff formalities, just us, a couple of microphones, and whatever is currently taking up too much space in our heads.
So why the bubble? Because honestly, we all live in one. Whether it's the social media algorithm feeding us the same three opinions, the professional circles we run in, or just the comfortable routines of our daily lives, it's easy to get insulated. The show is about leading into those bubbles and to see what makes them tick, but also being brave enough to pop them every once in a while to see what's happening on the outside.
And today's episode is a very motherfucking special one, mostly because I've been obsessing over a topic that I think that we have felt but haven't had a chance to quite go over with our words. We're going to be diving into the messy middle of things, the stuff that isn't quite a success story yet and isn't a total failure either. Is that weird? Slightly uncomfortable, gray area where most of the actual living happens, even if it doesn't always make it onto the mainstream feed.
Before we jump into the deep end, we want to give a quick shout out to everyone who's been sharing the show lately.
Mhm.
Seeing your tags and reading your reviews generally makes our day. This community is growing into something really cool, and we're just so grateful to be the ones steering the ship for a bit. If you're new here, pull up a chair, make yourself at home. There's always room for one more.
All right,
Yeah.
let's get into the heart of it. Take a breath, clear your tabs, and let's get it started. You're listening to the motherfucking Bubble Chat, and today we're breaking down everything you thought you knew about staying in your lane. Here we go. Now, as a great queen of television once told me, how you doing?
How you doing?
There's a question. She ain't tell me shit. That was a question she asked.
Yeah.
What's first up on the docket?
Alrighty, well, we have to talk about the clip that is absolutely blowing up my timeline right now. Terrence Howard sat down on a PBD podcast with Patrick Bet David, and he dropped a bombshell that has everyone doing some very frantic math. He's claiming that back in the day, during the early Destiny Child era, he actually turned down a chance to date Beyoncé. He says there was a mutual attraction very, very long ago, way before the Jay-Z era began, and that they had a real deal conversation about dating. But according to Terrence, he decided to step back because he wanted to focus on his own values instead of getting caught up in the Hollywood hookup culture. It's a bold claim, especially considering fans that are pointing out there's about a 12-year age gap between them. But here's the part that really sent the internet to a tailspin. He said his romantic interest was actually directed towards the girl with the blue eyes in the group. Of course, social media investigators immediately went to work, and most people are belittling his talking about former member Farrah Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
The skepticism is at an all-time high, and the memes are already starting to fly. Terrence is known for having some pretty out there theories and stories. So, looking at this specific claim, do you think this is a genuine what if moment in pop culture history, or is it just another case of Terrence Howard rewriting the timeline? I'm just going to give a little context for those who may not know what I'm talking about. Uh, during the Destiny Child era, Beyonce seemed to be getting a lap dance to Terrence, and and she was kind of like enjoying it, but like a little confused at it at the same time. But I'm curious to know your thoughts on this. On that
She's
is.
the ladies first. What you think about Terrence and the Bee?
I want to believe it because of one thing he said at the end of the interview.
What?
Not only did he say that he had the chance to date her and he fumbled, but he said that that her get back was the lap dance. Now, because he said all of that, and then, Johan just mentioned the actual lap dance, which I think was funny because all of the girls, except for Michelle, kind of had some attraction to their partners. Kelly and
Was
Nelly
that
had the
because that
whole,
was that because I was Magic Johnson?
of course,
Was
I
it
mean,
because it was Magic
I don't
Johnson made you
think
look
I
creasy
don't
in
think
the
Michelle
coochie hair?
chose him. Well, no, if you were in the gossip blogs at the time, Magic was actually brought on last. It was supposed to be somebody
As he
else.
should, as he should.
Exactly. So that's why I
Contamination in the chair.
say
Yes.
every man that they handpicked was
Mm-hmm.
somewhat of an
Bachelor
attraction. It may not have
or a
been Kelly and
heartthrob,
Nelly
maybe.
dating. You said what?
I said maybe a heartthrob, maybe.
Yeah, or just that there were rumors of something happening because Kelly and
Uh,
Nelly had that whole
uh,
dilemma thing, which was a great
uh,
song at the time.
uh,
But I honestly hate when men talk on women. But he didn't say anything like he smashed her and whoop whoop whoop. He just brought up that he could have dated her. So with a grain of salt, I believe it. I just feel like, nigga, who asked your light skin ass?
Okay, well this all it confirms to me is the bitch like old niggas.
True.
She like seasoned sacks. That's what it is. That's what
That
that
season
you know.
sex, yeah. But
Because
I
she
mean,
from
we
down
can.
south. You know, a young man, a 30-year-old will marry a 54-year-old woman in a heartbeat in
I
Tennessee
mean,
down
hey,
there somewhere. Shout out to my cousin Fola. And then we looking at Beyonce and Jay-Z right now. It could have been her and Dame Dash. It could have been her and Terrence Howard now. How about it? Okay, she like seasoned
yep.
facts. That's all it is. That's all
She
it
I've
is.
been
like him a
sitting
little
with this
older.
story for a minute. Sorry, Tisha.
No, you good.
I've been sitting here with this story for a minute and looking back on it, especially knowing how young they both actually were when that infamous lap dance moment happened. I have such mixed feelings, and part of me wonders if Terrence is just taking one for the team here. Like maybe he's trying to refactor the narrative to make it sound like a mutual, mature, almost rather than just a weird industry moment from 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. And it feels like he's trying to put a professional high road spin on something that the internet has poked fun at for years. But then there's this other side of me that thinks maybe he's genuinely awkward and confused about the whole thing. We've all had those moments from our past that we don't know how to categorize, and maybe he's trying to make sense of it without making it a big deal. Even
Well,
though
I think
by
he old
talking
enough for his
about it,
memory to
he's
slip.
doing exactly really quick. Sorry, Adonis. It's that weird tension between wanting to clarify the past and accidentally making it way more complicated than it needs to be. All right, go ahead. Sorry, Adonis.
I say he old enough for his memory to slip. That was all.
Ciao.
All right. Now, okay, we have to pivot to the biggest night in Hollywood. The 98th Academy Awards just wrapped up, and the vibes were intense to say the least. It was really a tale of two movies. We had a massive showdown of Ryan Coogler's Sinners and Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. Now,
Mm-mm.
Sinners came in with a record breaking 16 nominations and it walked away with four wins, including the Best Actor for Michael B. Jordan, Hey Boo, aka Viatia Tisa, which honestly felt like a long time coming, and a historic win for cinematographer Autumn Durrell Akpal. That sounds like that need to be a movie. I want to be named Art Paul. First movie theater. I want to be Art Paul. So it's the period vampire thriller that really waves in the origin of blues and Southern Black culture, and you could feel the love for it in the room. But when it came to the big ones, one battle after another ended up sweeping Best Picture and Director for PTA. We also saw Jessie Buckley take lead actress for Hamnet and a literal tie for in live action short category, which doesn't happen every day. With Sinners breaking the record for nominations, but one after another taking home the big two picture and director awards, do you think the Academy is finally embracing genre films like vampire thrillers, or are they still playing it safe when it comes to the top prize? I would say it's a little bit of both. You can't deny something good. You can't deny talent. You can't remove and evoke the emotion when you see it and when you witness it on film, right? On the screen. So you have to give them their flowers. The talent was undeniable. The movie was amazing. And then at the same time, they've been having horror movies. They've been having horror movies. Horror movies ain't nothing new. It's just
Shall
you get what I'm saying? There has
Mm-hmm.
been horror movies. What was Candyman? Remember Candyman? They
Yep.
just
Yep.
did that nigga.
It
Remember
was
that?
directed by a black
They
woman named
book.
Nia
It sure
DiCastro.
was.
You
I
Yep.
know
hope
what
I
I'm
said that
saying?
right.
Like, come on now, quit playing a game. So, like I said, you cannot deny the talent when it's in your face because it would have been like a riot if they had not gotten it because it was such a good film that happened to be
Exactly.
horror, that happened to be all science fiction, that happened to be black
Yep.
actor, director, all those things. You see what I'm saying? That's all it was. It was black on black on black on black in that genre. That's all it was.
I
And I'm
think when
glad
you
you
really
said
step
that.
back
Go
and look
ahead.
at the big two of the night, I'll be real quick. Sorry, Tisha.
Oh no, you're fine.
Sinners and One Battle of Another, it's obvious that we aren't just talking about movies. We're talking about the massive historical moments captured on film. And even though One Battle of After Another isn't a true story in a traditional sense, the DNA of it is so grounded in reality. Parts of it adapted from the novel Violent, but the radical groups and revolutionaries we saw on screen were inspired by actual movements from the 60s and 70s. And Leonardo DiCaprio even told Radio Times that the director Paul Thomas Anderson based Leo's fictional French 75 militant group on real life revolutionaries like the Weather Underground, who were famously fighting imperialism during the Vietnam War. And it's that raw counterculture energy that made this film so urgent. Then you flip the script to Sinners, it takes us straight into 1932 Mississippi, forcing the audience to explore the literal horrors of the Jim Crow era, racial
Yep.
violence, and the sheer economic depression of the desperation of the Great Depression. Seeing those two brothers return home to run a juke joint is it was such a powerful way to blend historical trauma with the themes of generational and spiritual resistance. And we honestly cannot ignore the history made behind the camera. I mean, Autumn Derlin Arkapaw, I do have to say it right, officially became the first woman to ever win an Oscar for Best Cinematography for her work, Sinners. That is fucking
Hmm.
huge. And to me, all these wins and nominations happen because of the power of education. These films lean into a historical context and a history that simply will never be erased no matter how much time passes.
That's so true. So you both actually like pinpointed, but I have to like just highlight it. The question kind of was, are they still playing it safe when it comes to top rise? I want to say absolutely the fuck not, because it's been years where I feel like Black people of color, have been snuffed. Just last year, they added a whole category for costume, which thank God, because the Wakanda series won, I want to say 1 year of that. So that was just them opening doors for more people of our color to win. And then also, you cannot deny that Sinners was such a good movie that when it went out of theaters, it immediately came back. People seen Sinners Some can count up to 3 to 5 times in theaters. So it was such a good movie that I feel like you're absolutely right. There would have been backlash that it didn't win at least something because the movie did that great in box office. It's not even like available for DVD yet, but it's already on HBO Max, which tells you something already. Like a movie that good coming on HBO Max first streaming, the movie was wonderful. And that's just all I'll say about that.
I just want to bring out one more thing before we move on to our
Hmm.
next topic. There was a moment from this year's Oscars that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. The award for Best Documentary Short went to a film called All the Empty Rooms,
Hmm.
directed by Joshua Seftel and produced by Connell Jones. The premise is simple but devastating. Over the course of 7 years, journalist Steve Hartman and photographer Lou Bopp documented the bedrooms of children whose lives were stolen in school shootings. These are rooms
No.
that have been frozen in time since the day those kids left for school and never came back. On stage to help accept that award was Gloria Cazares. I do hope I said that right. She was the mother of Jackie Cazares, who was just 9 years old when she was killed at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. Hearing
Hmm.
Gloria speak, she reminded everyone that gun violence is now the number one cause of death for kids and teens in this country. And she said something that really, really stuck with me. She believes that if the world could actually see these empty rooms, the unmade beds, the toys exactly where they were left, it would be a different America. You know, as someone who advocates for public education and school safety, I can't even begin to wrap my head around the hole in the heart that Gloria and so many other parents are living with every single day. They don't get to see their kids grow up and graduate or chase their dreams. They
Yep.
just have these silent, empty rooms. And honestly, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Enough is enough. It's been at this breaking point for too long, and I can truly hope to God that this win isn't just a trophy on a shelf, but a wake-up call that leads to actual, tangible action. We need to protect our kids so that no more bedrooms have to stay frozen in time. We owe them and their parents so much more than just thoughts and prayers.
Hmm. I definitely agree. Well, we have to shift gears to something a lot heavier that's been taking over social media. Rapper and Love and Hip Hop alum Amy Luciani recently posted a series of videos that have now gone viral. We're talking over 2 million views, where she tearfully breaks down the chaos happening inside her home with former NBA star Dwight Howard. This isn't just typical celebrity drama. The allegations are incredibly serious. Amy claimed that police and CPS have been to their estate 3 times in less than 3 months. The most heartbreaking part of the video was when she alleged that CPS actually removed her stepdaughter from the home because of her father. She says her marriage has put she says her marriage has put her and her children in a really dangerous spot. She also dropped a massive allegation regarding Dwight's personal life, claiming he is struggling with a cocaine addiction, which he denied. She even held up a bag of white powder on camera, saying, "This is what I'm losing my marriage to." According to Amy, she tried to stand by him, even going to 2 different marriage counselors. But she felt forced to speak out because things had spiraled so far that it was affecting the safety of the kids. Dwight has this Dwight has since denied the claims on Snapchat, saying he has never done drugs in his life. And he actually filed for a divorce just a few days ago on March 9th. When you see a situation this volatile play out on when you see a situation this volatile play out on Instagram Live, do you think social media is becoming the only place for people to feel safe or heard when they're up against someone with fame and money? Or does taking it public like this just make a traumatic situation for the children even worse? Um,
Well, let me say, speaking as a father and a
Go
soon
ahead.
to be divorcee, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
when shit goes awry in a relationship, right? You know, she said that she filed for divorce 6 months into their marriage because it wasn't working out. And, you know, she was young. That was her first time being married. She was like, you know, let me reevaluate things. You know, my elders, my elderly peers, or my elder married peers have given me some game and some insight. XYZ, blah 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 blah. Okay, that's one thing. This is a multifaceted situation. Dwight Howard. Let's go along with the allegedlys of the cocaine, the ecstasy, the booty play, the bisexualness, all these things. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a whole Pandora's box on his own. Then you go marry some off-brand, I don't know, G-list celebrity off Love and Hip Hop, right? You see what I'm saying? You get married for some celebrity, some type of notary, and it's a shame that you got married and now you in a car. Was that a bag of anthrax or Ajax? Tell me. I want to know. You see what I'm saying? Because what I got out of all of what she spilled was whatever had happened with the kid, which was the daughter, not the son. The daughter was moved out the house. Whatever happened with the daughter, it seems that she was compliant or played along with the story or a narrative that Dwight had said. Now they came back a few days, so it came. They were there, then they came right back. When they came right back is when they took the daughter. So it seems as if whatever happened from the first day to the second day, this is what happens on the box. What happens on the first day to the second, the first incident to the second incident involving the daughter, with her being removed, something went wrong with her. She lied. She knew something wasn't right. It was gonna fall back on her. Maybe she was tweaking her damn self, thought about it twice. Seen him in ultra tweak mode, thought about it twice. And then she went down there with that bag of tell me, was it anthrax or Ajax? That's what I want to know because I think the only part of the drug was in that vial. I don't know
Yeah.
what was in that bag. I think just tell me, was it anthrax or Ajax?
I
So
think that was powder from her about to fried chicken for her 5011 kids.
yeah, or some
But
baby powder or something. Because I was like, bitch, cocaine. If you buy soft cocaine like
why
that,
do you
this for
have a
all my
whole
cocaine
lot?
users out there. If you buy soft cocaine like that, that's a problem.
And
You
then
should just
she
had a
used the
big ass
same
rock.
hand to
You
wipe
know
her
how we have the
nose.
rock in the sugar? It should have been
Hmm.
a big rock. It don't break down
There
like
wasn't.
sugar. But I'm just
Mm-mm.
letting you know, and I ain't gonna say no more. Don't ask me how I know I'm done.
To be honest with you guys, I think this marriage is just fundamentally broken. Watching Amy explain these allegations, I couldn't help but feel like something behind the scenes just isn't sitting right. And now I'll have to admit, I don't keep up with Love and Hip Hop or The Real Housewives well enough to know Amy's character inside and out, but I've been
Gotcha.
paying attention to this energy here. There's part of me if some that wonders if some of this comes from a place of deep-seated jealousy. Dwight has had this massive global success for years, and sometimes when a marriage is already on shaky ground, that level of fame and achievement can become a weapon. It makes me wonder if she's lashing out because she feels overshadowed, or if this is her way of leveling the playing field now that the relationship is ending. But regardless of where it's coming from, the vibes are off. You don't get to a point where you're holding up bags of white powder on Instagram Live and then talking to Child Protective Services visits. Things are fixable. It feels like they are both in a race to see who can destroy each other's reputation first, whether it's the jealousy or the actual addiction she's claiming. The foundation is clearly gone, and it's just sad to see it play out so publicly where the kids are in the middle of it all. That's how I felt.
Well, for the old school viewers of just gossip and just or loving basketball, because here we kind of are. If you remember Royce Reed from Basketball Wives, she was actually kind of brought on a show as a jump off, when in reality she had a whole baby with Dwight Howard, but he put a gag on her, meaning she couldn't talk about him or the child that they carried, I mean, that they had or that they shared together. And back then, she was men saying that he needed help, that I don't think she necessarily alleged him of doing drugs, but she definitely said he needed help. There were rumors about Dwight Howard for years. So the fact that his current wife now is saying damn near the same thing and laughed at Royce when she said it, I just feel like two women who now don't owe you anything are now saying the same thing about you. Everybody can't be lying. but that's just my opinion. Adonis,
Donnie, where are you? Where you at?
he gripping some scalps.
Here I'm here. Is it me turn next?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
you turn next.
All right, 3, 2. And now we got to talk about something that happened just as the camera stopped rolling at the 98th Academy Awards. Tiana Taylor, who actually was nominated for Best Supporting Actress and had a very heated confrontation with a security guard. And now it's all over X and TMZ. It's just like when Kelly Rowland had to check that motherfucker at the show about a motherfucker being rude. So apparently the ceremony had just ended. Tiana Taylor was trying to get backstage to take her celebrity photo for her one battle after another castmates for their Best Picture win. Now she was walking with Pamela Abdi, the co-CEO of Warner Brothers. Okay, when a guard reportedly used his body to block her from allegedly shoved her from her going up the stairs. Now, in the video, you can hear Tiana not holding back at all. She held that nigga accountable. She was like, wait a minute, motherfucker, I told you, and I quote, you are a man putting your hand on a female. You are very rude. Okay, so she later talked to TMZ about the shit, right? So she said, look, security was just doing a lot, and I don't tolerate disrespect, especially when it's unprovoked. Now, the security firm has since put out a statement saying that they regret how the situation escalated, but Tiana Taylor made it clear that she isn't just letting it ruin her night. She still hit the Vanity Fair party and kept that same energy. Now, when you're at a high stakes event like the Oscars, where there are high security and everything is on 10 to 1,000, do you think guards sometimes overstep their authority with celebrities, or in this case, just rules are rules regardless of who the fuck you is?
To weigh in on this Tiana Taylor situation here because honestly, it's a perfect example of why you just don't fuck with her. Period. And the point blank. Tiana is not the one, the two, the three, the four, and I could go on and on. And she made that crystal clear that the second that guards overstepped. There's like this basic level of respect that should be given at especially in a high profile room like the Oscars. You do not put your hands on anyone, celebrity or not, without your consent specifically. It's wild to me that a security guard thought it was okay to physically shove a nominee who was literally there to celebrate her movie winning Best Picture. And it immediately reminded me, and Don, you mentioned it, of that situation with Kelly Rowland that we talked
Yes.
about a couple of seasons ago. Remember at
Yeah,
Canes? Kelly had to check that security staffer and remind them that she is a grown woman who will not be talked to or handled with disrespect. It's that
exactly.
same energy here. These women are in these spaces to work and be honored, not to be bullied or physically moved around by staff who are doing too much. Tiana standing her ground wasn't her being difficult. It was her setting a boundary. If you put your hands on her, expect to get that same energy back. Respect is a two-way street, even on the red carpet.
That's right. What you think, Queen T?
I mean, shit, to piggyback off of what y'all say, you're absolutely right. But unfortunately, it's only when women of color, regardless of how we do it, is going to be looked at negative. Both Tiana and Kelly did just the don't. And that's really all we got to do. If we did that to each other, it would really be like that's just us, a thing. But when we do that to another race or is looked at from another race, oh, we're immediately being ghetto, we're immediately being disrespectful. Now let that happen to a white person. Oh, guess what? It doesn't because they get the respect on the red carpet. They're not getting rushed. Because at the end of the day, when Kelly Rowland and there was another celebrity, I do not know her name, but she was of Latin descent. The whole point of the red carpet was to showcase their outfit. She had a symbolic, you know, outfit, and she couldn't even like present it all the way because the security guard was trying to usher her off. And it's like, do your job, but don't do it disrespectfully.
That's right.
Sometimes, yeah, just I get it though. You're around a lot of people, but
I
keep your
mean,
hands to yourself.
do you think that um Okay, that I'm not trying to be the devil's advocate, but I was thinking like the nervous system, right? What if internally you're fanning out? Okay.
As the security
Okay.
guard?
Yeah, as a security guard.
Okay,
What
okay.
what what if like medically, you have like anxiety issue or you got a medication or something like that, and like you know what I'm saying? Like,
Then that ain't the job for you.
it's what I mean by that is, sometimes you may have a drink or two, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
may give someone a hug, but you do the arm over hug, but basically you just lean on the motherfucker and give me your hot breath real quick. You see what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
in
Hmm.
involuntary movement, right? Or
Or
could they
Or
have, could Leonardo DiCaprio or maybe a bigger star had been coming and we got to hurry up and move and usher your ass up out the way for the real motherfucker to hit the scene?
that's
Now, I'm
what
not being the
it
advocate,
is.
but do you get what I'm saying? Like, I
No, but
don't.
that's exactly,
I
you're
would
right.
assume that is he did not have anything against her. I don't
No.
think that he was trying to do anything other than like we got to shuffle this shit along. Like even the CEO, bitch, like you run, yeah, you are the CEO of Warner Brothers and all that good old shit, bitch. But the Warner, but the face of Warner Brother right there. You know what I'm saying? The project Warner Brothers right here coming behind. So I'm just thinking, that was kind of like a little snag in the rotation of whatever they was
How things
doing.
go.
Yes, I just think it was a
No,
little
and
kerfuffle.
I definitely understand. And to play devil's advocate to your devil's advocate,
Yeah.
because in a way you're absolutely correct. So I'm not saying Kelly is a
Now
BK
Kelly, I think was a little
celebrity.
bit different. Kelly, I mean, I think it could have been the same thing,
No,
but
it technically was. So there was
right,
another
right, right.
celebrity with something bigger of stature coming up. So we wouldn't get your ass off. But at the end of the day, these red carpets aren't just a free for all. These bitches are paying money to be there. They're
Yeah.
paying
The
people to
look.
make
And
sure
I was
that
gonna
they
say,
look.
when you walk around on stilts and shit, you know what I'm saying? 8-inch
Yeah,
pumps.
but what I'm
See,
trying to
that's why I
say
was
is we
saying it
would
was
think,
different for Kelly because Kelly was walking or going up some stairs.
yes,
So she
yes,
was like, hold up, nigga, wait, stop, please don't. Bitch is fragile. Tiana
yeah.
could have been the same thing. Like, but hold up, stop. Like I said, the reaction was the same, but I think the circumstances a little bit different. Kelly was on them stairs, and I think she was not trying to fall. Tiana,
Exactly.
nigga, let
Nobody
me take
wants
my
that
time. Walking on stilts, that's what happened.
because that would have been all over TV,
That's what
social
happened.
media.
Looking like a drag queen from the ankles down. That's what happens.
Cousin, what we got?
Alrighty, well, next up, singer Rosalia recently faced some serious heat for comments she made defending the legacy of the legendary Spanish painter Pablo Picasso. But after the internet clocked her on it, she actually did something we don't see often. She went back, did her homework, and issued a full-on public apology. In a video she shared with her fans, she admitted that she's been reflecting on this for days and just wasn't at peace with what she said. She confessed that when she originally called him a great man, she was completely unaware of the documented history of abuse involving the women in Picasso's life. She basically said, look, I did, quote, look, I didn't have enough knowledge and I shouldn't have spoken on without knowing the facts. She even mentioned that people in her circle told her to just stay quiet and let the backlash blow over, but she felt like it was more important to speak up and apologize to the women who experiences she accidentally dismissed. It's a massive reminder that even icons we're taught to worship in school often have some very dark chapters that we just can't gloss over. Rosalie admitted that she didn't know the history. Barbara, do you think we place too much expectation on artists to be historians, or is it the artist's responsibility to fully understand the idols they're publicly praising? How do you feel about it?
Well, sorry. I just like it when celebrities actually go back, like you said, do the homework and realize that maybe what they said was wrong. And because these people have fans, people look up to them. So when they are wrong, despite their personal beliefs or not, it's good to take accountability. That right there to me, she did the best part possible because most people don't even do that. They would listen to their team and let it blow over.
Who did she make this comment about?
Pablo Picasso?
Okay. Okay. So I think I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. Opinions and experiences are like assholes, and everyone has one. Now I'm gonna use a example like the same, but not. So we all know who Picasso is, right? Okay, and then so we all know who Nicki Minaj is. And yes, I'm coming for you, T. I'm coming for you. And so, with all of the fucker and hoopla she has been doing politically, the what she's done, where she stands, who she's married to, who her brother may be, and all those things, right? Her heckling, checking JT, checking Cardi, checking Ray J, Sun and Fools, doing just doing the beast, the whole monster, the Roman, stop it. Okay. And okay.
Yes.
And so, am I wrong for saying that when I met her at the meet and greet, she smelled good, looked even better, and she was a fucking beam of light? Am I wrong for saying that even though all these other experiences and things have happened to other people? Right?
Hmm.
So, if she said he was a great man for what she knew at the time, and let's even throw R. Kelly on the chopping block, okay? We danced to Step in the Name of Love at Granny's funeral, and we danced at R. Kelly, whatever song at cousin's wedding reception.
Yes, yes, we
Take
do.
away from that beautiful experience and moment that we all individually and collectively had, even though the bridge was dedicated to him pissing on little 13 little girls. You see that?
Hmm.
You have to compartmentalize these things. So if she says something now, not ignorant, just unknowledgeable, if she said something about experience, something she felt that she acquired through Picasso, and then found out that he did something wrong, is she
Hmm.
wrong for having a good or positive experience with him?
I wouldn't say she's wrong.
That's like, look, that's like somebody being my friend.
I just want to say,
All the shit I talk, you think that I won't say anything about you, that you see what I'm saying, or that I am gonna say something about you regardless you're my friend or not. You get that? It's a double
Yeah.
conundrum. Now, all the shit I talk on Instagram, Tisha, am I not a loving, wonderful, positive, motivating force
Yes,
in
you
your
are.
life? But
Yes,
there's
you are.
about 325,000 people on Facebook say use a motherfucking lie. I'm gonna drop the mic right there.
have to give it to Rosalia, honestly. She actually handled this with a level of maturity that we honestly don't see enough in this industry. She clearly
Hmm.
understood exactly why, and just to piggyback off of what Tisha was saying, she clearly understood exactly why people were coming for her, and she didn't let her ego get in the way of a necessary apology. I mean, think about it. If she just stayed silent or doubled down to protect her pride, that backlash would have just grown and grown until it swallowed her whole. So, but she recognized that in the conversation, in any conversation, there is a time to talk, and there is just time to just sit back, learn, and listen. Because when you say something problematically, what on social media, whether you intended to or not, you have to be ready to catch that heat and actually hold yourself accountable. Because you can't just hide. Rosalia was
No.
honest about not knowing Picasso's full history, and when you actually look into it, the details are horrifying. I was doing some research myself, and according to the Edge, and this is a little bit of a trigger warning for my listeners. If you feel the topic that I'm about Pablo Picasso that I'm about to say are disturbing, so if that is something that makes you uncomfortable, you can just go ahead and skip to the timestamp I'm about to link in the show notes. But for those of you who want to stay put, please proceed with caution. I was doing some research, and Picasso didn't just have a messy personal life. He was documented a womanizer and a textbook misogynist. He kept
Oh,
he kept multiple mistresses while with his primary partners, but it goes deeper than just cheating. His own granddaughter, Marina Picasso, wrote in her memoir that he basically treated women like prey.
Oh,
She described how he would tame them, bewitch them, ingest them, and then crush them onto his canvas. This wasn't just artist temperament. It was so destructive behavior that traumatized his partners, children, and grandkids. So I completely get why the women Rosalia initially dismissed felt so offended. Because when you praise a man like that without acknowledging the wreckage he left behind it's a massive trigger for anyone who has survived similar abuse. And I'm just glad Rosalia realized that her platform comes with a responsibility to know the history before she puts her stamp of approval of it.
right. Okay. And how the hell would she know that? How would she know Picasso was a portrait pimp? Now this is where it changes because being with that tidbit of information. Okay, so we all know what muse is, right? You are my muse, the kitty cat, that's your new muse. My fish are my muse. The bubble chat is nephew's muse, right? And we admire, we look at this, okay, and we study it. Okay, now these is real life women's wives, counterparts, bed warmers or not, right? Nigga, you got me standing here 18 hours for 18 weeks. You've been dogging me out the whole time and you want me to hold it together? I'm supposed
Make
to,
it make sense.
you see what I'm saying? Like I think that's where the torture comes in at. Because that's when I say there's a have I shared this with you guys when I say this is the insult of flattery?
Refresh us.
The insult of flattery. That is when if nephew broke his kneecap, right? And I went to his house and I cleaned up and I got his whole house together, right? But his mama sat on the couch the whole entire time and never offered me any help.
Mm.
But when I was done, she said, thank you. That's the insult of flattery. You could have done something. You could have said something, but you didn't, and you just said thank you. You see what I'm saying? So the insult of flattery, you don't you that's how it works. That's the insult of flattery. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Okay, y'all just let me hang it. One bubble up the soapbox. That's all right.
Well, as we continue our celebration of Women's History Month, I want to shine a bright necessary spotlight on a woman who just didn't break the ceiling. She shattered the entire building. We're talking about the one and only Shirley Chisholm.
Now, most of us know her as a first. She was the first Black woman elected to the United States Congress in 1968, and just 4 years later, she became the first Black candidate and the first woman to run a major party's presidential nomination. But Shirley wasn't just about titles, she was about action. Her campaign slogan was unbought and unbossed, and she lived every single second of that. When they tried to stick her out on the agriculture committee to keep her quiet, she didn't just accept it. She used it to champion food stamps and the WIC program, providing that urban issues and food policy were one and the same. She was a master of reading power and understanding that if you don't have a seat at the table, you bring your own motherfucking chair, a folding chair even. Even now in 2026, her legacy is literally being built into the ground around us. Okay, shout out to Shirley, y'all. All right, it is time for the one and only one of my favorite segments, Throwback Topic. This is where we take a second to look back at hot topics that were bubbling over before the bubble chat even officially became what it is today. If you've been with us since the beginning, back when this was just a little tiny idea and a couple test recordings, you know we were obsessing over the same chaotic energy we see now. We're talking about those early conversations where we stay up late debating everything from the latest award show snubs to the celebrity relationships that everyone knew were doomed from the start.
Well, for today's throwback topic, we're hopping into a time machine and heading back to the height of 2020. Remember that era of coronavirus, COVID-19,
Mm.
Miss Rona, Corona Denise, whatever could be calling that shit. We were all stuck in a house, sourdough starters were everywhere, and the bubble felt a lot smaller. Well, back then, Ariana Grande decided she had seen enough of the influencer lifestyle during a global crisis. During an interview with Zach on the Zach Sang show, Ariana really went in on people who were abandoning social distancing protocols just for the sake of social media. She was incredibly frustrated, asking why people couldn't stay at home for a few more weeks so we could get things under control like other countries were doing at the time. She didn't name names, but she definitely pointed a finger at a specific screen. She called out the people who were flocking to Saddle Ranch. You know, that infamous celebrity hotspot in LA with the mechanical bull, just to party while the rest of the world was trying to flatten the curve. She basically asked, is a night out at a ranch really worth risking public health crisis? It was a rare moment where a massive pop star really checked the clout culture that was happening right in the middle of lockdown. Looking back at 2020 now, do you think that Ariana's call out was a necessary wake up call for influencers? Or was the tension between celebrity responsibility and personal freedom always going to be a long battle during the pandemic?
I really have to back Ariana on this one because looking back from 2026, it's easy to forget how terrifying and heavy that time actually was. I'm thinking as someone who personally struggled with short-term depression and anxiety while we were on a lockdown. It wasn't just staying at home, it was a mental battle every single day. As far as Ariana's call out, I think it was a necessary wake up call, not just for the influencers, but for everyone. We were in a moment where cases were skyrocketing and there was no vaccine in sight. People were acting like this virus was some kind of hoax, which it wasn't, but people were acting like this virus was some kind of hoax, but it was and is something that can literally change your life for life or take it for. I still remember thinking that it was. I excuse me. Let me start over.
You're
Let me
good.
start over.
Mhm.
I think Ariana's call out was necessary, and not just for the influencers, but for everyone. We were in a moment where cases were skyrocketing, and there was like no vaccine in sight. People were acting like the virus was some kind of hoax, but it was and is something that can literally take your life or change it forever. I still remember that story of the guy who went to a party thinking that the virus wasn't real, tested positive, and tragically passing away right after. That was the reality we were living in. We all had to make some incredibly painful sacrifices that year. And I think about our holiday specifically, that Christmas and Thanksgiving days, it was just me, my mom, my dad, my brother, and a couple of cousins. The rest of my family had to attend virtually. We were staring to a screen. We were staring at screens instead of hugging each other because we knew that the more people lack masks and ignored social distancing, the harder it was going to be to ever get out of that pandemic. It's easy to look back now and shrug it off, but in 2020, every decision felt like it carried the weight of the world. And Ariana was right to call out the selfishness of the cloud over community health. If we hadn't taken those steps, as hard as they were for our mental health, who knows where we'd be right now?
I like to think about is not everybody's pandemic was the same. Unfortunately, am I back on?
Yes.
I saw it disconnect and it came back. Okay, start over. So, what I like to think about is everybody's pandemic wasn't the same. Mine, unfortunately, I was an essential worker. So I was going to work. The only things that really stood out to me that made me uncomfortable was when I would watch the Wendy Williams show and there wasn't a live audience, or when I would go to pick up food and like you literally had to like have on a mask or you had to literally pick up your food and go. So my pandemic was very different. Um, I'm glad that it's over Do I have regrets about it? Because a lot of people were getting over, okay? They were not going to work, they was getting paid, but we're glad it's gone. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that Americans were going to do what Americans were going to do. There were still parties, there were still people saying they're taking the precautions and really wasn't. Any celebrity that spoke up, I want to give them kudos because, that was a hard time for them. They weren't making money because people couldn't go to concerts, they couldn't do things, but we got things out of that, like what? The verses, that was pretty cool. So it's just some things that, we take with a grain of salt. She's one celebrity that had an opinion, and there are many more.
Johnny, how
So
you feel
that
about it?
is, I'm sorry.
I was wondering if Johnny has any thoughts on this. Looks like oh, Johnny.
You're on mute, Bay. Did you have any opinions?
No.
And that is all the time we have for today's episode. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us and letting us share what's been on our minds. If you enjoyed the conversations, make sure you're following us on all your favorite podcast platforms so you never miss a beat. And I mean all of them, okay? We is on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, all that good stuff. Apple too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. See, look, don't forget to check out the show notes for links to everything we talked about. And feel free to reach out to us. We don't, bite back unless you like that type of shit. And take out all your frustrations out on social media. We love hearing from you all. Until next time, take care of yourselves, look out for one another, and keep finding the beauty in your own bubble. We've been your host, and you've been listening to the Bubble Chat. See you on the next one.
All right, guys.
Adios, and I be.